All right, folks, it's time. So get ready, get set, get comfortable, grab yourself a drink, maybe a little popcorn, because here comes another episode of the next conversation. I hope you enjoy. We are live. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are again. This is the next conversation. We're going to try something a little different. I think I might have done this once before, but maybe not. Maybe I'm just going insane. So today, my good friend Robert Avery, Bobby A to all of you folks, has suggested we watch an episode of Ancient Aliens. Now, for those of you who are friends of the program, you know with 100% certainty that this is Bobby A's favorite show ever,
Yeah,
possibly.
it's
And
in the
he
conversation for sure. Yeah.
and he is like a student of this. This is like his grad school, right? This is he has learned the mysteries of the universe
Yep.
via this program.
That's correct.
So, we're going to be watching an episode together. And for any of you folks who have Hulu, well, you can join us if you want. It'll probably make the experience a little bit more fun, more enjoyable. So we're going to watch from season 11. So on Hulu, I think they have almost every season. Is that correct, Rob?
That's right. We'll get into this after the episode, but there's 18 seasons, folks. Like, there's a reason why there's 18 seasons of the show. It's season 11. It's on Hulu. The first 16, the newer ones are not available yet for streaming, but at least not to my knowledge. And
Yeah, so
I
we're going to
mean,
be
go
watching
ahead.
right
Yeah.
episode season 11. So they've
Season-
hit their stride at this point, ladies and gentlemen. There's
Yeah,
a
this
lot
is
of
this is a
lot of
pinnacle.
water under the bridge. And we are going to watch episode 4, and the episode's entitled The New Evidence. And we're going to start this episode at about a minute 30 in. So if you want to join us in this oratory sensation that is the next conversation, feel free, go into your Hulu account, maybe do a little torrenting, find season 11, episode 4 of Ancient Aliens, tune it to 1 minute 30 seconds, and when I say play, you hit play. You ready?
I'm ready. And one more last note for anyone that is a big Ancient Aliens fan that knows that Action Bronson has a show on Vice that where they get really high and eat food and watch Ancient Aliens. This is going to be, it's basically inspired by that. So everyone who knows, who's in the know is going to know like, oh, like this is cool. But
It's an homage.
It's
an
an homage.
homage to a
Correct.
currently, enjoyed program.
That's right.
All right. So ready on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, and play.
All right. Okay, so I see. Yeah, we immediately see the pyramids.
And I feel like
Yeah.
every one of these is somehow going to like touch on the pyramids, even if it's like takes place in like, I don't know, the Netherlands. Somehow it's going to tie back to the pyramids.
That's funny that you say that because the founding father basically I would say if this was a whole family of panelists, the great grandfather would be Eric von Daniken, and he's from the Netherlands. So it's a
Oh,
Dutch
is
guy
he?
that started all this ancient astronaut theory stuff. Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Right there, you just see it.
Oh, cheers to the gods.
Yeah. He's the godfather of this what's happening right now.
That is the Assyrians right
Yes,
there.
that's right. See, that's why it's good to have you because you know all the like the cultural references.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I know I've done a fair amount of reading on like ancient history, so like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, you're gonna love this episode. Then. So look, even the Senate is acknowledging the existence of the show. People, it's amazing that it's being discussed on the Senate floor. Uh,
Yeah, it's kind of so. I've been going to this church, like a series with my dad, and it's kind of crazy because the guy, the preacher, he I feel like he's channeling Ancient Aliens with some of the things he says, and I'm like, I wish Robert was here because like you would be getting a little tingly with some of the stuff he's talking about. I'm like, this is like almost out of an episode of Ancient Aliens.
is it that good? Is he connecting? He's trying to connect the spiritual world to like the tangible. I know. I kind of can at least have some kind of an idea of
Yeah,
what is.
and it's like also kind of rekindling the supernatural
Yeah.
elements of like let's say Christianity. It's like a lot of these people. It's dude. There's a lot of supernatural stuff. We talk about Nephilim in one of our episodes.
Hmm.
We've talked about some of these like very supernatural experiences that you see in the Bible, like seeing creatures, seeing flying entities, seeing what could almost be described as machines. Um, and he kind of doesn't shy this particular pastor. He don't shy away from that kind of stuff, even though I think a lot of pastors do because they don't. It's going to scare someone away.
Yeah, that's
But
good.
I'm like, yeah, man, give it to me. Just I'll listen. I've watched enough Ancient Aliens. I'm like,
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying. This is not news to me.
Yeah, that's good. That's good because that's what's lost a lot on the newer, like I would say, parishioners, which are some which that's like the churchgoers, the avid
Yeah.
churchgoers. It's you're believing in something that's supernatural. You have to realize that. So
Oh yeah, I mean exactly.
I'm glad that his sermons are they have they're almost it seems like that's a big element of his sermons.
Yeah, I mean it really is, and it's kind of like you're right. It's like you can't have your cake and eat it too. It's like unfortunately, it's like if you want to believe in this belief system, you can't like take some and leave the other. I mean, I guess you could. I mean,
Right.
it's everyone's free to do what they want.
Uh, no, true, true, true.
It'd be like a Hindu not believing in like thinking like the stories of like Shiva are just poetry or figments of someone's imaginations. But like, well, then how are you Hindu? Like, it kind of like defeats.
Yeah, yeah, I see. It's like self defeating in a way.
Yeah.
Um,
So
so,
what do
but
we?
what do you think about Stonehenge, Chris? Because you think I know you. I think you think we don't realize. Oh, there's Georgia. So if
Yeah.
everyone knows, there's Giorgio, of course, with his customary ridiculous haircut.
He like it's kind of like he's become. It's like who's the painter? Bob Ross. Like Bob
That's right.
Ross
Yeah,
got a perm, and then when he became famous, he could never get rid of the perm. Like he hated it, but it was like this is what he was known for. I feel like that's kind of this guy too.
yeah, yeah. You're never gonna see Giorgio with this hair reaching like it looks like someone reaching for the ceiling. You're never gonna see
Reaching
it.
to the stars, man. His hair is trying to
Here you go.
find
He's trying to
the
find
ancient alien.
the secret truth of the universe is what it's trying to find. So, what do you think about Stonehenge, Crow? Because I know that we've had conversation like this, and you're saying that people don't they underestimate the power of man. How do you put a gigantic stone on top of two gigantic stones in the ancient
Yeah,
world? How do you
I,
think that happened?
I don't know, man. What's Do we have an idea of like the date of when Stonehenge was put together? Like, have they that's knowledge that's been out there, right?
Yeah, you know, definitely. Um,
Is it thousands of years?
Stonehenge was I don't think it was that long ago. It was hold on, I gotta let me look this up. It was 1,500 years ago.
So those of you who are not watching
Yeah.
this with us, so right now we're bringing up Stonehenge because kind of we're talking about Stonehenge and mounds and like in this episode and like these stone structures that are kind of like
Monoliths,
yeah,
basically.
people like they're around and people really don't know why they're there.
Hmm. And now
Uh,
there's another one in England which I didn't know about this one. Look
is
at
this
this
the one
one.
we're seeing? Like, yeah, what the
Yeah,
hell is this?
yeah. Wood
Woodhenge.
edge. Yeah. So, um, yeah, back to my original question. Sorry to cut you because
No, it's
there's
fine. It's fine.
it's like, how do you think that was construction? I don't know,
Dude,
man.
I don't know, man. It's like when it comes to these types of shows, well, again, here, put it this way. I kind of, I don't want to say I believe, but I could be convinced, or I lean towards the idea that human beings have been on the planet for far longer than like mainstream science believes,
All
right?
right.
So like that's like Graham Hancock type stuff. Like there were advanced civilizations that go back maybe 100,000 years, right? I think we believe human civilization was like, I don't know, 10,000 years old, 15,000 years old.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like it's less than 100, like it's far less than 100. But I think like with Graham Hancock, he keeps talking about how they're starting to find all of these. I'm going to pause for 1 second, all right?
Yeah, we can pause it. Hold
Pause.
on.
All
Yeah.
right, so I'm at a like 9 8, what is it? 8:57 9. So anyway, so
Yeah.
like
9.
they
Yeah.
so right, he's talking about like they're finding all of these ruins that they're able to date, and that date back like 50,000 years, like a long far farther back than like humans, where like any mainstream scientist ever, or I should say archaeologist ever, would say humans existed.
Mm-hmm.
So like my thinking is, dude, and you think you and I have talked about this, is like how many thousand, it didn't take that long for us to get to the point. Like think about it, in the last 2,000 years we went from like, pretty much, I don't want to say not hunter gatherers, but like middle, like low tech, to within 2,000 years big tech, right? Like
Yeah.
we're flying in planes, we're traveling into like space and whatnot. And like if human beings existed on the planet for like 500,000, and like, and we're, for all intents and purposes, like we haven't really evolved. Like our brain is probably the same brain that was in a human being as far back as we believe humans existed, like 10,000, 20,000, however long that number is amongst like mainstream archaeologists. Like we haven't evolved. So that means our capacity to think and reason and make tools and figure stuff out. Like why do we believe that other human beings with the same brain as ours were not potentially capable of like crazy technological feats? So like if you look at these monuments and things of that nature, like I kind of believe, like, yeah, I think we underestimate human beings a lot, and like we look to like we look to space for answers that might actually just be like in our own history. It just might be that our own history is like far more complex and sophisticated than like we were taught to believe. Does that, I mean, I don't know. Does
Yeah.
that answer your question?
Yeah. Yeah. I see what you're saying, and I could. I would personally have a couple things to say to that, but I do understand it. It does make sense. And I think the foundational point is the human beings are capable of some pretty crazy shit. We just don't realize that in the past maybe we were as advanced as we are now. We just can't fathom it in
Correct. So
at this
like this
time.
pastor I have, this
Yeah.
pastor at my parents' church, like who, like I don't know how they hired this guy, because he said some outlandish things, but like if you look at the Old Testament, they talk about like the Nephilim, right? The heroes. It's literally like translated in English to like the heroes of old or something like that. Like the mighty men of old are the heroes of old. So like humans mating with a celestial being, maybe a ancient astronaut, who knows, and are who are capable of like great feats, and like how this population, like how who like who knows what civilization existed at that time. Like we really have no idea. We do know that there was a cataclysm. So like if there was a massive cataclysm now, right, with all that we've created, right? Let's say something like like an asteroid hit, or massive amount of tectonic plate movement created all these volcanoes that erupted, or there was an ice age.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, everything we've created would not exist anymore. Like in a thousand years, like it would look as if the planet was back to hunter gatherer stage. You know what I mean? So like we
Yeah.
know that it's very easy for things to get lost in time. So like it's very possible that like we had some crazy humans that were trapped. Maybe they were going to space through some means, through technology that we don't really understand, harvesting something that we maybe even a mineral or something that doesn't exist anymore. And then there was a massive issue, cataclysm, world war, something happened. Boom, society reboots, and then we got
Yeah.
to figure, we got to reinvent the wheel from scratch.
It's a good point. I think we are reaching in some kind of overall existential reset, but that's another topic. That's we can't get into that right now.
All
That's
right.
that's not because there is. I think you're right. I think we're nearing the end of a cycle, and we're seeing it with everything like the weather, people's behavior, et cetera. But
So I'll
uh,
leave you with this, and then
yeah,
we'll hit play again. But like Henry Chan, remember he was telling me
yeah,
he read a book recently, and it was talking about epochs, like
yeah,
that there are
exactly,
these epochs,
exactly.
and then he was saying that like according to that book, I mean take this all with a grain of salt, like the next cycle, like
Hmm.
we're at the end or the beginning of a new cycle.
I agree with that.
Maybe good,
Yeah.
maybe bad. You have no idea.
Uh, all right.
All
Well,
right,
but before we hit play, I want to correct myself. So you were Corvo was actually closer. Stonehenge was 1500 BC. So if you do the math, it's like 3500, 4000, 5000 years from now. That's
so
where
wait,
they press.
1500 BC. So that's the time
Yes.
of the Romans.
Uh
So like
huh.
how do we not know who made this? Like that's crazy to me.
Right. Exactly. So you were closer. I was wrong. There was,
Yeah.
but that makes it even more. That makes the mystery even like a little more like
Yeah.
appealing.
I mean Romans were I think yeah, that's crazy. All right, hitting play
Yeah.
now.
Uh,
We're at about 9 minutes.
yeah. See. So now we're seeing an image of Stonehenge. It does look cool. I kind of want to go there. Look at, and it's just in the middle of nowhere. That's the crazy part too.
Now, tell me, because you know a lot about this stuff.
Yeah.
Is it also like, is there a celestial aspect to it? Like, like some of these ancient ruins that they find coordinate with like constellations or certain star shape, like stars. Or do you know if Stonehenge is similar?
Yeah, it's not the pattern after some kind of like yeah like anything in the stars, but they think it's more of a timing device, like with the sun hits it in a certain way, so you know what season it is, and etc. Like you know when to grow this certain crop or go. It's more of like a temporal device.
Interesting.
That's what my understanding is. But how did they make something that magnificent? How did they get those goddamn fucking blocks up there?
Yeah, you're looking at
Yeah,
these are like stones that weigh like tons. I would
tons,
imagine.
yeah, it's insane. And then there's other structures like that in England as well as we're looking at.
England's kind of a weird place because I think there's also a lot of like ghost sightings and like paranormal activities that happen in the UK.
Hmm.
Like I think they're known for like a large quantity of these types of events,
Uh-huh.
which it makes you wonder about England. Like maybe it's like I don't know, it's geographically located in an area that is more open or prone to like I don't know, supernatural events.
It's they do get into that in so we watched that other episode before, and they do get into there's certain longitude latitude lines when they connect together, they're almost portals. That was the second half of that episode. So you are onto something there. I don't know. I'm not sure that the science can back that at this point. You got to just believe in it. uh, but this is crazy. You see,
So
they
they
are.
think it was. They think it
Yeah.
wasn't. Oh, that's what the hell. This is insane.
You see, but that's way. So they're kind of answering the question you just posed. Like, what was the purpose of this? And classic ancient aliens, you're going to say, oh, it was some kind of landing strip for uh, flying objects. Oh, here we go.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, you're gonna. This is. Oh, it'll get better. This episode just keeps getting better.
The one thing I always like about Ancient Aliens is like for like let's say a 40 odd minute show, they pack in like 2 hours of content.
I know, man.
Like they
You
don't mess around. It's just like boom, 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 boom. Like the editing is just so quick.
Yeah, it's one of the beauties of the show is that you actually learn a lot about history and cultures and traditions and communities, and it's that's really the charm of the show for me, not the kooky wacky theories that they come up with, although that is it has its entertainment value, don't get me wrong, but I like it because it's like sitting down and studying for 45 minutes.
Oh yeah, I mean, I feel like you've learned a lot from this show. Like, we've had conversations, and like you'll pull out, you're learning about history. Like right now, they're talking about like King Tut and like finding his like sarcophagus in Egypt. Like, all right, that's like that is a historical event.
And yeah,
Now
this
they're adding a lot more color to it, which makes it a little more interesting.
and this guy's cool. Um, so what he's saying is King Tut's tomb, for being such a popular pharaoh that he was and a big figure in Egypt, why was his um, tomb so small? And they're saying that there's two like hidden chambers in it. That's why. Interesting, very interesting.
Uh,
It's like, why
did they
is
find them? Did they
yeah,
find the chambers?
they do.
Oh
They'll,
shit!
yeah. Right? Because if you think about it, Corvo, like King Tut, he's the man in terms of Egyptian lore. He's one of the big guys, right? Uh, he's the one everyone knows in pop culture.
Yeah,
Why is his tomb one of the smallest of any of the pharaohs? So that's where they're. Oh, there we go. Here's the answer. There he goes. Yeah. Yeah. So what they're saying is there's another person next to him in the tomb that had that had some kind of spiritual celestial connection.
wait, there's someone else in the.
In Queen Nefertiti. Yeah, exactly. Like she, there's Van Doniken. He's the man. Yeah, so all the hieroglyphics of her look like make her look like some kind of a traditional Hollywood alien. That's what it looks like.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What's insane is like if if this stuff is ever true, it just would change. Like, just imagine if just one episode here was proven correct.
How much it would change everything. It would change everything. Maybe that's why it can't be announced. Yeah, so right now they're investigating why all these
What?
elongated skulls are appearing in Egyptian art.
Well, I mean, so historically, I know a lot of cultures
Mhm.
practice head binding,
Yes, yeah.
and you got to wonder if maybe they were replicating
That's what I was gonna say.
something that they saw.
It was some kind of yeah, like you said, homage or yeah. It's,
This is
it's
crazy.
see the sun disc. See the artwork of the ancient world is so fascinating. Like what were they? It's not random. Someone is not, just Georgia again. I'm sorry, everyone. I get distracted when I see Georgia. He can't. You
I'm
just
about to like. Have you ever read his magazine?
no, I should.
Curious, yeah.
Every time he's fucking appears, he's wearing some ridiculous fucking suit. It's see, yeah. See, what do you think about this? I know about the head binding stuff. There is an actual episode about that, but now they're gonna get into like the genetical part of it. Uh, so for anyone who hasn't seen Ancient Aliens, they have these consistent panelists. Some of them are actually doctoral professors from UCLA, USC, Iowa, Houston, from legitimate colleges. But then you've got the characters, and they're almost as if there's characters from sitcoms like William Henry, David Childress, of course, George Yosukos. It's insane. This guy, David Willock, he's kind of batshit crazy actually. He looks like David Spade. He's like a budget
Yeah, a
David
little
Spade.
bit. Yeah.
And that's half the fucking
This
beauty.
shit is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, Chris Corvo's actually like, this is
Yeah,
not
I'm not
my
even
mind,
talking because
and my
I'm
mind's
like,
being blown.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm getting
I'm
into it.
telling you, I'm telling.
I mean, it really is. I mean, it's dude. It's because yeah, this would change the game.
yeah,
Like, just imagine how you would view yourself and like human beings in like within the universe if any of these episodes were proven true.
right. It would, and that last before it cut to commercial, they're saying, you know how dragons are very prevalent in Eastern cultures.
Yes.
Dragons did exist, but they were actually spaceships, and that's what they're saying.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And it's like what we talked about in that first episode, where maybe these people from antiquity just didn't know how to properly describe what they were seeing, and they compared it to animals instead of comparing it to like machinery and like aerial vehicles and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it makes sense because you're gonna use the bet your what do we use words for? We use words to describe, but we only can describe based off our experience. And like if it's like if you saw something that literally blew your mind, you're gonna just grasp at whatever words you can use. Like that's why in like the Old Testament you'll hear like when they see creatures, they'll be like, oh, they had the eyes of sapphires, or like they had, claws as strong as iron. Because these are like the best things they could use to describe what they were seeing.
Yeah, it's just like a point of comparison, exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
You listen to this, Corva. This is good. So they're saying, for the people listening, they're saying that they found liquid mercury in a tomb, in multiple tombs all over the world,
What the?
and it's sort of a tool to help propulsion, to help flight. Yeah, see, look at that. That guy's wearing a fucking space helmet. Don't tell me that's not a helmet. It's not an astronaut's helmet. Are you kidding me?
What the heck? This is crazy.
Yeah.
Because you're right. I mean, it's like there's not. You look at it, you're like, this looks like a helmet. This looks like an astronaut's or a motorcycle helmet.
Yeah, so liquid mercury is a substance they have Hitler. The Nazis were also trying to experiment with liquid mercury as well. Yeah. See, this is the part we were just talking about, Chris. Like, you're learning about history.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
learn that the German scientists were experimenting with liquid mercury to try to help the Nazis in the war, in World War II. It's crazy, dude.
What the hell?
Mm.
The feathered serpent you see is a image that's talked about quite a bit.
It is all over the world. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Like you see it
from
the
multiple
same.
different peoples. Yeah,
Yeah, different, and like no way that they could have like geographically they're just so far apart from each other.
yeah. There's no way they had any kind of contact with each other whatsoever. Yeah, you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and in China, there's another like ancient ruin place that has the same properties, the same excuse me, the same liquid mercury as what we saw in the under the pyramid in Mexico. It's crazy. Uh, that's actually a cool monument right there. See, like this guy, David Cheatham, he's legitimate. He's a doctor that teaches at Arizona State University. He's not some kind of fucking History Channel personality. Oh shit! Did you just hear
The
that?
heck?
Did you just hear that? They were able to
Liquid.
geographically draw the scale model of China onto the floor. How did they know that?
And they contain liquid mercury. That's crazy.
Oh yeah, here we go. This guy is an assistant professor of Chinese religions at UC Santa Barbara. That should be your job, Chris. The assistant professor of religions. But it's like you said, that's another kind of California school. That's Santa Barbara.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these people are coming out of California,
I think,
which I guess that's one positive. Like they're pretty open minded.
but I also think from a production side,
True.
it's because the studios are in California, so it's easier for them to just drive over.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like they're I'll be there. We're 15 minutes
yeah,
away.
yeah, exactly.
This is it. When you watch these shows, I mean, it makes sense in the sense. There's so many myths about someone, a hero, coming from the stars to help to be to help a particular civilization. And I mean, like, yeah, I mean that maybe it's an alien.
It's almost uniform across the board. Yeah, like these all these flying animals were. I mean, it could be. It's plausible. That's the thing. Well, I'm not saying it's definitely true, but it's plausible. And what
I,
makes this less plausible than Jesus resurrecting from the dead on
no,
Easter?
you're really absolutely right. I mean, that's something I always say. It's like with church people. It's like, how is this like more realistic than that? It's like if you're open to the idea of the supernatural, then you really like you can't split hairs. It's kind of like, well, I got to be open to a lot of things.
Yeah, exactly. Well said. So that's the problem with like these organized religious groups. They completely dismiss this. Well, it's not. It's not. I'm not. I don't mean to single them out, but it's a problem with just how a lot of people think. They're singling out, immediately dismissing the ancient astronaut theory, but they'll readily believe in the New Testament as some kind of ironclad concrete law book. So and the of like just the Bible in general. So and all the other religious texts.
I mean, to me, this I feel like this stuff could easily fit within like the Bible. I think if you were to believe this, like the ancient aliens idea, I mean, I almost think it, to a degree, could fit right in within Christianity. I mean, there's a lot of crazy things there. It's like when they say they're from, Jesus is not of this place. His father was from above. I mean, who could that? You know what I mean? Like it opens up. I feel like these ideas actually fit well within a lot of religions.
Uh,
Like they do not, and they don't even cancel them out. If anything, it helps add seasoning to some of these ideas that come from ancient religions.
yeah, definitely. Uh, it's like a piece of the larger puzzle. It definitely fits. You could fit it somewhere. It
Yeah.
belongs there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you saw these winged beasts or these creatures that did all. You know what I mean? It's like, well, that might be an alien spacecraft, or that might be an alien being,
Hmm.
or who knows what. You know what I mean? Like, to me, that fits perfectly. Like it, if anything, it might even make sense. But what are we watching
Yeah,
now?
it's there's in ancient Peru there's a king that had the power. He was basically a Jedi. He can lift things, and he's like Luke Skywalker. Look at this scene. He can move objects like telepathically. But they're saying it wasn't his supernatural power. It was some kind of technology that was given to him. So, which is also another question I want to pose to you. As a believer in the supernatural myself, there's are these otherworldly interdimensional powers, or are these technologies that we've lost over the time? Like, could he have been controlling those rocks
Ah,
using something? Would like, did he have powers, or did was he using some kind of machine to do this?
well,
Yeah,
I mean, could both be true.
it could be both. It could.
Yeah, it's kind of
Uh,
this is kind of interesting. It's kind of like, well, what if they came and they, befriended different leaders or just different humans in general, like,
mhm.
and in some cases left them a gift.
Yeah, some kind of technology that was beyond anyone's comprehension.
Yeah, just to help them at that
Yeah.
time. Yeah, it's like the mysteries. Uh, there's just so many mysteries. It's like that's the thing. It's like people. I think to go back to what you're talking about earlier with like people not believing certain things.
Hmm.
I think it's because life is very complicated. Life is complicated, even dealing with just what you know. To that, I think for most people, it's just more manageable to exclude ideas that will lead them nowhere, in a sense.
Yeah, and it's. I think like a lot of it is people want to be. Oh, what is this guy looking? So they're searching the ground for some kind of metal. All right, I got distracted. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so they
So,
have like a metal
yeah,
detector, a large one. I've never seen something like this, and
yeah.
they're carrying it over this ruin in South America, I think. And, okay, in Machu Picchu, which is where I'm not sure, Peru,
Machu Picchu is in South America. Yeah.
and they
Gee.
are. I don't know. They're trying to find something deep, like they're X-raying. They're looking in the earth.
They're looking for some kind of, yeah, like this structure. This like also looks like a helmet. So a lot. Uh, okay, that's William Henry, folks. That guy's nuts, but I like him.
So like I was listening to something about gold because a lot of times you see gold used and you see gold a lot in this show. You know that gold is indestructible.
You can't destroy it in any way, shape, or form.
No,
No,
you can't.
that's I didn't know that.
And what's interesting is like it's like someone was talking about. They were saying how like it like gold gets found, it gets made into a jewelry, and like that same jewelry, that same jewelry might get broken down and made into other jewelry. So it's like it gets recycled. It never dies. It never can be destroyed. It is like this immortal element that will never tarnish and will always shine.
That's amazing. So it's eternal. Gold is that's
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, anyone out there who knows more about this, feel free to correct me. But that's what I heard. It was just like that's why humans have always gravitated to it because it just is this thing that never will.
hmm,
It'll exist forever.
yeah. Well, that makes sense because I won't get into this in this episode, but as you know, I think we're eternal as well, so that makes sense, and
Yeah.
makes sense that why we're drawn to that element. But what do you think of this? Is yeah, you
So
just
right
blew my
now
mind with that.
they're showing like these aerial images. This is stuff that you guys might have seen before. Like there are these large. I almost want to call them these large drawings in South America.
Yeah, in Peru, in Nazca Plains. The
Thank you. And
geoglyphs. That's what it goes.
geoglyphs. And I was like, there are these, like, if from you need to be way up in a plane and like you'll see a bird, but the bird is like over like maybe hundreds of acres. Like, the question is like, how could they make that? Like, how could they design this thing that creates an image that can only be seen above and expands over hundreds of acres, maybe miles of land.
Yeah, it's wild. It's it's not meant for people that are on the ground. It's a
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
It's like it's something that can only be appreciated from above.
yeah. See, look at this shit. A 65-foot llama. There's an astronaut on the bottom left. And look when they were built, fucking Corvo. 200 BC. A hummingbird. How do you become an archaeologist? I would.
I don't know,
It's a
man.
it's a
It's like you
cool
go
job.
you go to school for it, but it's kind of like, what are you actually learning? I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
do you? I would imagine history has to be a major component of it.
Oh, it has to be a big time component. See, like this guy. This guy is just. He's just a fan. See, look. This is what I'm talking about. They made a spaceman. That's big. It's
Yeah, that's
actually
crazy.
as just pure artwork. It's fucking beautiful because
Yeah, it's so cool. Like,
it's so
you're
precise.
we're, and it's over just this like desolate, rocky
Yeah, look at that.
terrain.
This is unbelievable. See, this is why I wish I had. If I ever come into a large sum of wealth, if I ever have enough money, this is the shit I want to see. I want to see all the weird things all over the world. That's how I would use my money. It's like I want to go into that mountain and see that. Look at this shit. Oh, we're getting we're getting the History Channel fucking CGI now.
Yeah, I love when they do these little animations.
Yeah. Yeah, he said that's his name is Jason Martell. He's like a consistent panelist too. He said exactly what you said. He's like, there's no way you could know what this even is if you weren't flying over it. Kazakhstan. See, there's other ones in Kazakhstan too. A perfect
So,
circle.
so part of this, I mean, I think you could, and I think this is probably like the standard argument against this. Is just that a lot of these cultures had like sky gods and they had gods, and it's like, if you think you're building something for the gods, then yeah, you might build something that only can be seen and appreciated from above.
Yeah,
It doesn't take away from the difficulty of the feat of actually executing it and making it.
yeah. That's why I like more than the mystery part of it. I like just the aesthetics of it.
Oh yeah, these are. I mean, these are beautiful. Like, folks, if you've never seen them, like, they're amazing. Like, one is like a whale almost. Imagine a whale. The outline of a whale on a like desert landscape or like a very rocky landscape. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, see, and they're all like perfectly symmetrical. They're so precise. You see,
The,
sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say it feels like another interesting part of this is though they're choosing animals and maybe I'm wrong with this, but in many cases aren't the animals that are not from that area, like a whale or something like, or am I misspeaking?
That's a good question. I don't know the like the true answer, but yeah, in Kazakhstan, there I don't think you would see whales unless you were right on the water on the coast. So they
Right.
may have had some knowledge of it. But like, yeah, look at this. But however, our ancestors all over the world were doing things like this. That's what's probably the most intriguing part of it.
Yeah, it's this is a, so like with the whole ancient aliens theory, like, do any of these episodes comment on like where are they?
Yes, they do. I won't ruin it for the for anyone who wants to watch it, but there are specific episodes as to like what's the origin and where are they currently. Yeah. Basically, it, for short, not to ruin anything, but they're here. They're still here. Is what it's the answer to your
On the
question.
planet with us?
They're around. They're
Oh
around.
shit.
They can come here if they want to, but they're not here all the time.
Okay, so really that this let's call it a conversation
Yeah.
between one species to another. You're saying like, or at least some of these episodes, like that dialogue never ended.
No, it's still ongoing. There's there's someone on planet Earth right now who's in community. I don't know if it's a couple people, if it's one person, if it's like a small council of people. Who knows? But they're in communication with people on planet Earth because they're mostly interdimensional. They don't. They've figured out how to go through like warp speed and wormholes and all that. It's like there's yeah. If anyone watches it's basically the X Files. The X Files is real.
It's like
The X
exactly
Files is real.
exactly.
It's fucking real.
It's like X Files minus. Yeah, this is better than the X Files.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, see, how do you think that got there, man? Look at this fucking ash. These fucking rocks. And also, I went to the when we were at the fucking Natural History Museum. You have pieces. There's things on Earth that are older than Earth, and I touched it. It's wild.
I mean, that is kind of crazy if
Yeah,
you think about it. I don't even think I appreciated it when we
yeah,
were doing it.
yeah. That was fucking really good. Scientists, new human ancestor. Yep. And imagine the shit. I know we've talked about this before. Um, like imagine the shit that's at the bottom of the ocean that we just can't get to, and we've never been able to get to. Just don't
Well,
know.
remember, it's like every culture has a flood story,
Yeah,
and who knows what was lost in that flood.
yeah, man. Yeah, I think there we go. Flat Earth. See, this guy is he's famous too. George Norrie. He he has a radio show that he's had for like probably like 40 years, um, discussing things about this. The ninth planet on CNN. You know, Giorgio now is just a full-on producer of the show. I think
Oh,
yeah, he pays money to make sure this show keeps going.
yeah. I mean, he keeps it going. It astounds me that this show's been on for so many years.
18 seasons. Yeah, see,
Dude,
this
yeah,
is
this is. I'm not even talking that much because I'm just like I'm getting more and more involved in this story.
this is cool. Oh, it's gonna get better. Watch once they get to the mathematical part about it.
What is happening? Wow, this is fucking crazy.
So for the people listening, they're just going through the popular panelists that you see, and they're pretty much saying all the artwork we've seen is proof that at some point we're gonna have contact with alien life. Yeah. But why would they hide this? Like it seems just strange.
Why would who hide this?
Why would governments hide this from everyone?
I mean, do you think so? That's the question. Is like, do you think that there's a vast conspiracy where like actually what we're watching right now is like there are people who know like they're like laughing like, oh yeah, that's we know exactly what happened?
Hmm.
Or do you think, yeah, like how do you think that is? Like, do you think that someone out there has all the answers?
Um, I do think someone on Earth. I don't know who it is. I don't know if it's like we were saying earlier. I don't know if it's one person or a group of people, but the answers are out there. The truth is out there,
Is
and
it Career X
yeah,
Files?
the truth is out there. I just couldn't tell you how to fucking find it.
So
It's
do you think that the person or people who know are people of? So here's a question: it's like in a lot of these conspiracies, it's like it's the government. The government has all the answers.
Mhm.
Do you think the person with all the answers is part of a government or is like part of a secret society or part of maybe even like a pseudo religious secret society? Like I'm trying to think of like Fifth Element or something where they've been hiding this or protecting this truth for like eons. Um,
Yeah, like some kind of yeah.
Almost like if you ever saw Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Did you see that movie?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, that's my favorite movie. One of my favorite movies. But like you know how they're trying to find
Only the penetrant
the
man will pass.
correct. Yeah, they're trying to find the cup the what is
The
what is,
Jesus is the
yes, there's a name, the Holy Grail. They're
the
trying to find the
Grail.
Holy
That's
Grail.
right. That's right.
And like he gets Indiana Jones when he's in Venice following the clues his father left behind, he gets attacked. And you find that like the man who attacks him tells him he's like I'm part of this group that has for centuries protected the Holy Grail and protected it from society, from any of those who would seek to like abuse it or take advantage of it. So I wonder, it's like, is that what's happening? Or where like the people who actually do know the truth are actually, let's call them like the good guys, like people trying to protect, or are they like governments trying to use this knowledge to like subjugate us?
Yeah, yeah. That's an excellent question. I think out of those three scenarios, I think the one group that's trying to keep everything under wraps is probably the most plausible to me, rather than a nefarious government. Because when you're talking about X Files, you're talking about the some kind of global shadow government that's covering it up for evil purposes. So I don't think it's that, but I do think, and I don't think it's something where people are willingly keeping their mouth shut, because if you knew this knowledge, there's no way it would never leak out, especially in this day and age with all this technology. And
Exactly. I mean, we they couldn't keep secrets about
yeah,
Afghanistan and Iraq.
exactly.
I mean, people are
There's,
going to leak it.
there's no way you could keep this secret. But I think the last point you made, where there's some ancient group, it's in almost every action movie. There's some group like
Yeah,
that.
there's like an order.
Yeah, there's an order that has been communicating with these interstellar beings for quite some time, and no one knows. Even high level government officials have no idea. So but
That's crazy stuff.
it's cool to think about, and it's also kind of, I would say it validates a lot of what entertainment is. So to bring it back to a pop culture thing, it's there's a reason why people are drawn to shows like Ancient Aliens and Star Wars and Star Trek and and The Matrix, et cetera, because I think a part of us even genetically knows that shit like this is happening, man. There's things like this that are happening all around us, and even uh, like a like a dark dramatic series, like when we
Yeah.
talked about True Detective, all the shit that's going on in True Detective with the cults and the religions, that shit happens, man. And I think a part of us knows that it's happening. We just don't fully appreciate it, as you said earlier. But it's we know, we're intrigued by it because we know it's real and we know it's happening.
Yeah, I
So
mean, it's kind of crazy. It's like since we're mortal, it's you only have so much bandwidth and you would think, like, part of me thinks that should be the only thing you're trying to like figure out. Like, if aliens interacted with human beings, and if any of the episodes of Ancient Aliens are true, like that's like like I tend to ask myself, it's like, is this the thing I should be focusing all my life and trying to
Yes.
figure out and solve, like, or understand? Like, this is a mystery that's like almost at the core of what it means to be human. It's like, if you're a religious person, it's like, well, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's, I sometimes like don't understand. Like, I don't think I have the ability to like compartmentalize well. Where
Hmm.
for me, like, if I allow the conspiracies in, I will go all in, because I'm like, if this is true, this is very important and might be at the top of the list of what a person should consider
Mm.
important. But then again, it's like, the reality is like, you got to feed yourself. Like, what will you do with this knowledge? And in many cases, it's like, wow, nothing. It's like, it's not going to really, it will change me, but we probably would be surprised at how little it would change you.
That's an interesting way to look at it. I haven't looked at it that way because just knowing, it's a good point. You kind of scrambled. You kind of put my mind in the pretzel there, right there. Because like, is this worth knowing? Like, what would change? What's the difference if we didn't know this? Um, but at least for me personally, I would answer it would more validate and
Yeah.
affirm what I've already felt and what I've perceived. So it would be like, oh yes, I've all this time that I've spent thinking about this, it was worth it because it ended up being true. It's more of that for me than I'm gonna use this as some kind of utility.
Yeah.
Because
So how about this, right?
go ahead. Go ahead.
We're in our 30s, and this will be kind of like my final question for the evening. Like, do you think you've watched 11 plus years, 18 years of Ancient
Yeah.
Aliens? Do you think, in your heart of hearts, not based on anything, like, do you think that in your lifetime, before you are laid to rest amongst all of your children, possibly, um, that these secrets will come to light?
Yes, because before I die, I'll do it myself. If no one else is gonna do it, I'll fucking do it myself.
You're like 75.
Yeah,
You're like, fuck it, man. I'm done. Let's do this.
yeah, and
Then you become Mulder from the X Files, but like a 75-year-old Mulder.
yeah, everyone. I'm just stuck in the basement. I'm still working, and I'm just stuck in the basement somewhere because no one will listen to me. Because when you're old, people think you're crazy. People think,
It's
"Oh,
true.
this guy's talking out of his ass."
It's true.
um,
But like, do
I'll
you
do it
think that
myself.
like we are moving toward, like, are we
But
on a clock
yeah,
that's counting down, and like, do you think zero will happen in your lifetime?
okay, that's hard to answer. I would say yes because
Like, it's a feeling more than
yeah,
anything.
it's the thing about this is a lot of people already know this shit, man. They know it's real. They just won't acknowledge it. That's
Well, but
really
I
the
mean,
problem.
like, something that's in that can't be disproved, like either first contact, or a legitimate artifact, like actual technology, or I don't know, genetic material that is not of this world, like something that is
Would happen.
irrefutable by all those who would desperately try to refute it.
Okay, yeah. Well, first of all, there are material like that on Earth already, so that's not
Yeah,
going to work. But what I think what it would take is like straight up video footage, like reported by MSNBC, NBC, like all the main news outlets. It would have to take
yeah,
that, which is kind of shitty because the mainstream media has its own problems of it. But it's
yeah,
anything short of that, people will be like, "Oh, that's a doctored photo. That's a doctored video." It would have to be some kind of legitimate press conference or news story that runs. I think it'll happen because I think it's already happened. It's just that now two things about everyone knows I hate social media, but the thing about social media is everyone's on camera at all times now. And if, however, on the flip side of that coin is people think that everything that's online, they take it with a grain of salt. It could be fake, it could be
True.
doctored.
True.
So even though everyone's on camera all the time, are also suspicious of everything all the time, and I think it works in that favor in terms of evidence. It's just a feeling, Chris. It's, you can't deny it. I know that walking around this fucking planet, and I haven't been to a lot of places on the planet, but a good amount. You just know that what's going on, man. You just feel the energy, and I think that's what that new evidence was saying. It's, they're not telling you A, B, C. This is what's happening. It's just like, how did this happen? It's more of like exploring and questioning. It's not demanding and lecturing people. This is what's going on.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. It'll be interesting to too. It's like, if we came into contact, right? Because like most times we're trying to figure out like what is our purpose? Where did we come from? And the interesting thing with that question is, let's say we met a species that seeded us or created us. But then the question is like, who created you, or where did you come from? What is your origin story? And it's like, I think it would be interesting to come into contact with, let's call them ancient aliens. And I also think there's a chance we would be, in some ways, disappointed with their answers. But that's
Could
a
be right.
question for another
Yeah,
day.
I think we would be, actually. I think we're thinking it's going to be some elaborate, mind blowing answer, but I think you might be right. It might be more simple type of thing.
It might be something that their reasons might be the exact reasons we had if we were at their level at that time. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
curiosity.
It's not like talking to them and you're like speaking to God, like, and for those who don't believe in God, like the metaphor of, but like someone who has all the answers.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, well, we travel around, we explore
Yeah, it's
places,
just
we meet people, we fall in love, we help them. It's like very pedestrian answers, not as
exactly,
cosmic as you
exactly.
might think. Just like, oh, like that's like something I read in a comic book, like that. No, it makes sense. Maybe Nefertiti fell in love with literally a human man and like
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to
Yeah,
leave him, and they had kids or whatever. You know what I mean? Like that would be very interesting to just see that. Oh no, like you kind of are not. You're not us, but you are motivated in similar ways
yeah.
of love and anger, kindness,
I,
all of these types of
I
emotions.
think ultimately that's a very good shout. That we're, when it, like you said, when in my belief, when we do find out this and we do interact at some point in human existence, we're going to find out that we're way closer in behavior, in intellect, in passions, in drive, in all these emotional feelings. Physically we may not be the same, but spiritually and emotionally we're going to be almost
Yeah.
identical, I would say.
Well, and also remember, it's like with a lot of these ancient alien stories, there's interbreeding.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's how you get all these different type of like the titans and the demigods and stuff
So, I
like.
mean, we can't be that much different than them if we can breed with them.
Mm-hmm.
Unless there's some, like, then that goes into like, well, they didn't breed in a normal way. There's a technology or whatever. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This was fun. So like I feel like this should become a regular thing. Like periodically we blast this. We
Yeah.
get Joe in the mix and we do a little watch party, maybe have like a few cocktails or a little smoke and
Oh yeah, yeah. You can
and
watch Ancient Alien sober. Are you mad? I
yeah, it's true.
was. I smoked a joint before this. Everyone, come on.
But for anyone who's like, I gotta be honest, like this is not even me joking. I never grew up watching this show. Rob has gotten me to watch this show on more than one occasion.
Mhm.
I would say, like, for any of you who haven't watched it, it's really cool because one, and this is stuff Rob always says, and people probably don't give him enough credit for it. You can learn a lot of history from watching Ancient Aliens. Like,
Absolutely.
they touch on so many historical scenarios and very like random historical occurrences that like you're gonna walk away being like, oh, I didn't know that this civilization existed, or that this historical figure existed. And then on the other hand, is it does illuminate questions that like even like Stonehenge, their answer to Stonehenge is just, I want to say it's almost just as plausible as any other because there's no answer.
Mm-hmm.
It is a legitimate historic mystery. No one knows how they did it or why they did it. So I feel like it's, I don't know. I think if you're open minded, you will walk away like looking at reality a little bit different. And I think it's for the better, honestly.
Yeah, no, I echo those sentiments. It's if you can wade past the kookiness, which I enjoy. Don't get me wrong, I love the characters. I love the how over the top some people, and I love how every time there's a missing gap in the logic, it's just if this was a formula, mathematical formula, the variable would be fucking aliens. It would just say aliens. A variable A. That's it's like, oh, we can't figure out the how to like balance these formulas. Just put an A in there, and then it'll work out. So
That's true. That's a good point.
yeah.
That's a good point.
So I love that part. That's the entertaining aspect of the show. But to your point, I've learned so much about ancient cultures, antiquity, people, like historical figures, civilization, traditions, like ancient rituals. I've learned so much about that just by watching the show. There's 18 seasons and they're like 15 to 20 episodes each. There's a lot of fucking episodes, man.
Yeah, that's a huge amount of
Yeah,
content.
you can. It's almost like a course. It's like a you're taking a graduate or college course on like a crash course on history.
Yeah, it's like it's a crash course on ancient history. If Mulder was the one teaching it,
Right, exactly.
it's a retired Mulder from the X
Right,
Files.
that's a beautiful way to describe it because you're gonna get some harebrained theories for real, but you're also gonna get hardcore historical facts, and you're gonna learn about just the history of the planet in general.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Well, ladies and gents, hey, thank you for tuning in. For those of you who have, I think Burchin is probably out there, so shout out to Burchin watching Ancient Aliens with us.
Yeah.
But this was another episode of the next conversation. Hope to see you again soon.
Peace.
Ciao.